and welcome. I am Taryn Tarver. We are here with Supernatural Lifeline Revelations. Real excited about today's show because we have so much to talk about. This is a hot topic that you're hearing more and more about. It's narcissistic personality disorder. Earlier this year, I wrote a book which is called Hidden in Plain Sight, Unmasking the Narcissist, and I had my own life encounters, and I was really, really blessed to come in contact with this man. And everyone kept saying, I had to meet him. Oh, you got to meet him. You got to meet him. It was a wonderful opportunity because he was a neuroscience, relationship love expert coach, and he was so smart. And I am blessed to have him on the show today. We have Dr. Rael Sims. Welcome today, Dr. Rael.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
It was amazing how we met because all these people kept tagging us together like, oh, this is all you all day. This is you all day. And I'm like, yes, it is. Yes, it is. And I started watching all of your shows, and I just love the information that I found. So much that I went and got certified with the neuroscience class that you guys do.
Optimind Neuroscience.
Optimind, yeah.
Yes.
So if you just want to take a moment to introduce yourself and say hello and let people know kind of your background and where you've come from before we dive into this hot topic about NPD.
Yeah, I'm a neuropsychologist. I specialize in why we do what we do from an eco-bio-psychosocial and spiritual point of view. What goes on in the brain during being intimate, relationships, just in general too. So I talk about that, body language, how to read body language. Behavior health. I just talk about everything when it comes to the brain and biology and just what happens to the body and the mind when we're just doing everything, but mainly in relationships. Yeah.
Yeah. And I've seen a lot of your seminars, and I'm really glad at the information that you're putting out there. One of the ones I saw was about the empath and the narcissist. And for many of you that don't know about what narcissistic personality disorder is, it's actually in the DSM-4 listed as a medical condition. So DSM-5, excuse me now.
Yeah,
Thank you very much. Right. Yeah, I caught myself. I've been studying for a while, so you have to move on up with the time. So DSM-5, medical condition. There's over 250 different medical conditions that they can diagnose people with, and this is one. It's on the uprise, and now that they're saying the numbers have really grown, but like 1 in 9 people have narcissistic personality disorder. It goes undetected because most narcissists do not believe that they have narcissistic personality disorder. I'm going to go over quickly what the 9 characteristics are.
Yes,
but when I do that, I would like you just to break down in a simple form of what people should look for, what it is, and we'll talk about the healthy aspect of what you can do if you have actually encountered a narcissist and you actually need some help, which you definitely do if you've encountered one.
Yes.
One, they have a grandiose personality. Number 2, by the way, I want to say real quickly, you have to be diagnosed with 5 of these 9 characteristics to actually have narcissistic personality disorder. But there's only one that must be in place in order to be diagnosed with NPD. That is a lack of empathy. They cannot have any empathy. They don't empathize with others. So you can listen through all of these. You can go on your Wikipedia. You can search for it. You'll find lots of information. There's lots of movies about it these days, but it's something you really want to know about. One is grandiosity, so grandiose personality of themselves, preoccupied with success or power. They're usually very gifted, talented. They can be athletes, the best of anybody. Really great in what they do, but when it turns a little turns to left, we'll talk about that in a little while. Arrogance with success, lack of empathy, number 4. Number 5, the belief of being unique. They believe that they're very unique. I'm the only one like myself. You couldn't do this apart from me. 6, the sense of entitlement. They want things that they haven't done the work for or the labor to keep them, but they have an image, so you fall in love with the image of the person rather than the actual person. It's a Dr. Jekyll type Mr. Hyde. 7, excess and admiration. You have to be able to tell them only things that are good. They're not correctable. You cannot correct a narcissist. If you do, you will get their wrath. 8, exploitation. They're big on exploiting others. If you ever catch on to them a little bit, they will turn everybody they can, including family, friends, against you. And they're very envious, very envious. If you are the cameraman, they believe they can be the better cameraman. And they want to take your job, even if they're not qualified in it. So those are some of the 9 characteristics of narcissistic personality disorder. Now, what that kind of looks like in everyday life, maybe you have a boyfriend and you found him cheating, or your husband, you found him cheating, and he said, well, the reason I'm cheating is because of what you did. You know, you weren't, if you would have been showing me attention, I wouldn't have had to go out there, because so they twist it and turn it back around on you. That's just a little example of one. Or it's always your fault. No matter what you do, the conversation comes back around to them. You never are able to actually get your needs met in a relationship. So if you can just, these are just a few things to look for we're talking about. And it's very important in the church these days, because not only is the Antichrist going to be narcissistic, you're seeing it on the uprise. And, you know, I'm sure the person asking right now, doctor, is saying, well, doesn't everybody have some kind of narcissism, which there is a healthy aspect. I mean, it's like you got to have the belief in yourself. But when it turns to where you're going to hurt someone to get what you want, that's where the danger comes in.
And that's good that you said that too. Do we all have that? And what's the difference between confidence and grandiosity, right? Because it can get close to overconfident. You know, when you get overconfident, when it's time to basically get over on people just so you could put yourself on an imperialistic pedestal over this other person. And to feel that nothing's wrong with me at all, because we also know that they're not going to admit it. That's why it's so difficult. That's why this thing is really, it's imperative for us to talk about it, because even though we may see it in someone and bring it to their attention and to ask them to go get help, to them, hey, I don't need help. There's nothing wrong with me. You know, there's something wrong with you. And again, like you said, they'll always bring it right around the corner. They'll bring it back to you, and to bring it to say that something's going on with you yourself as well.
Have you found a lot of your clients will say, which my clients would say, things like, you know, they have me going in circles. Like, I go to them about one topic, and we've danced around to like 10 different things, and we can never get on first base. We can forget hitting a home run. But everything was so good at the beginning stage. Everything was so great. So there's 3 stages. Do you want to talk about those?
Go ahead.
Okay. So there is the honeymoon stage, where everything is so great. I've met the most incredible employer. I met the greatest pastor in the world.
Absolutely.
I have met the man or the woman of my dreams. We just clicked. There's something about them. I mean, we finish each other's sentences. You should see us together. We're selfies, and you know, they've got this image, and it's so great. During this time, they are actually, it's not the real person. You're dealing with their impersonator, or it's another person that they're viewing. They're giving you the image of them. You're falling in love with the image. So it's only they can hold that up for some period of time. So you now, it moves us to phase 2. After you are hook, line, and sinker, you are in all the way. You're like, we're getting married. You're like, I'm committed. I've left this country and moved to this country. I've dove all in. I'm in the job. I'm committed. I'm in this ministry. I left this great ministry, and I'm over here, and I'm fully committed. As soon as they see you're fully committed, the mask is off. Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, I'm a completely different person, and I no longer need to show you that person. And you're trying to figure out what just happened. So you're always trying to get back.
What am I doing wrong?
What am I doing wrong? And they say, well, it's this. So they dangle the carrot, and you get that carrot, and then they move the carrot again.
And they move it again. And it's like, okay, well, what do I do? You know, what am I doing? And this is the power, because it's all about that power too as well. And when they're doing that, they're constantly, like you said, dangling the carrot, and they're constantly doing this, and you have to be so aware of it. And that's why it's so important. I mean, gosh, the way you broke it down was just totally awesome. That is exactly it. That is,
While the person is trying to figure out what happened, and they're dangling the carrot, you're so busy because you're committed, you remember that dopamine, that serotonin, like the brain receptors, because it's the same receptor as, I think, drug overdose, as sugar. It gives you that feeling, that euphoria feeling. It's releasing all those happy, you know, you can tell.
It's the mesolimbic dopaminergic pathway, and that's the ventral tegmental area, the caudate nucleus, the nucleus accumbens area, and that's the area that the ventral tegmental area is the pleasure centers, and all of those pleasure centers give you that state of consciousness, that euphoria, that high. And so you're like, hey, everything is totally cool, and that's why it is so disappointing to bring that high down when you discover the narcissist person, because you're still wondering, well, what's going on? And it can happen so fast.
Especially if you're in a marriage, I would say, because I've talked with you a lot about, especially in a marriage where you're around them all the time, you've got their DNA around you, you're picking up all of their smells and their senses, and your body's telling you, this is the person that gives me that feeling, but they're not willing to give you that feeling anymore. They're not willing to love you like they used to love you. They're not willing to be committed and dedicated and make you happy and make you smile. Matter of fact, they're calling you names and they're putting you down, and everything is all about them. So you're trying to fix it. You're trying to get back to that honeymoon stage when the honeymoon stage is never coming back. It is gone. It was an image, and you're constantly finding yourself running around in circles. And it's like a leech. They're taking from you. They're getting fatter and fatter because you're doing everything you can to please them, and they're taking and taking from you, and you're losing your identity. You're losing your strength. You're losing your purpose. You're losing who God called you to be. You're losing your confidence. The most confident of people can get around a really good narcissist because they will target a type A person. They will target
because
a person.
That's why we should say predator too as well. Because they're actually looking. They're actually looking, and it's close
grooming.
And it's actually close to a psychopath too as well, because they work really good together. They work really close together, and it can eventually go into psychopath too as well. So
I do actually want to go into that too.
Yeah,
I want to talk
so
about
it's really important too, and the covert narcissist, and that's the person who's whoa, it's me. So you see the person, how we said we want to rescue the person, right? Because, the person is not having good luck in their lives.
He got a bad rap.
He got a bad rap.
The church put him out.
The church put him out.
They fired him. Nobody will hire him.
Yeah.
But just how great he is.
Oh, that's him pulling in. That's him or her.
This
that's
is my
a trap you.
And everybody is doing me wrong.
Everybody's doing me wrong. That's the covert, and you go, oh, and so you get trapped in. Once you get in, bam, it's like, what happened to all of this? Oh, woe me, right?
Right. Right. Yeah. And that part is gone. Once you were into the third stage of reality of like, okay, I'm never going to get what I was supposed to get. Yeah. Which I found in a study that majority of people who have been in deep relationships with the narcissist for many years, they have anxiety disorders.
Yes.
They have panic attacks.
Yes.
Your body begins to wear down on you. It is attacking your very core of your existence of who you are, and it's pulled you so far off track. They call those the echoes. That's right. And so the echoes are trying to get back to who they're supposed to be, which is where I work with a lot of those people, rebuilding who they are and the rebuilding process. Yes. But before I talk and we go into like the shifting of the rebuilding process, I want to kind of talk about something you brought up about the sociopath, because I've actually experienced
psychopath,
psychopath
versus sociopath.
Psychopath, sociopath, they're both
it's
premeditated. Now you're dealing with, in this age, in this era, with people that have apps to where they've called people from like a phone number that seems like their phone, it's their house phone, to trick them that they're in their house. They're panicking. It causes a panic to the other person. When now, say you found out who they are, now they are they're bent to destroy you. I like to tell people through movies, you can see it. You can see it's like the Ike Turner and Tina Turner, where it's like, all of a sudden when she wanted to break free, he wanted to take everything from her, and then you see it even in Gone Girl that was just out, where she plotted for a year against him and set him up, had things sent to his house, had people, places, things, bank accounts, all this stuff she put into to act like she died and killed herself just to tear this person down.
Yes.
That socio-psychopathic person will do anything to make sure that they have put you under.
Oh, yeah.
And it is very demonic.
Oh, yeah.
It's a Leviathan spirit, because the Leviathan, it not only uses its teeth to actually grip you, so with its mouth, it's fierce. It's very aggressive with its mouth against you, and it puts you down, it talks down to you, but it twists things. It's a twister, and it pulls you under the Leviathan. It talks about even in the Bible. Then you see things like the Jezebel spirit. It's very controlling.
That's right.
It's always in control of everything.
That's right.
And you see the Delilah, like where it's like enticing and it's pulling you in, and when it sees you getting a little bit away, it shows you a little glimpse of that little hello, remember honeymoon stage,
right,
like remember me, and you're like,
yes,
you're
yes.
back, I missed you,
Wow.
and you
I thought something was wrong in the
right.
relationship. Nothing's wrong now.
They admit everything for a second,
Yeah,
and they
yeah.
act like everything's going to be great,
Yeah.
and you come right back rushing in with full force,
Yes.
and the whole pattern starts all over again.
Yes.
But many people had to protect themselves as far as like even restraining orders. Nowadays, you have to get very smart with even like you have to bring a third party in. I found out if it's a church, if it's a pastoralship, or if it's something, you have to bring 3 people in. You have to document everything. Most narcissists are terrible at doing what they say they're going to do.
Right.
Their follow-through is horrible.
The follow-through is
But you got to catch them because they'll blame it on somebody else.
That's right, absolutely.
And they'll set them up. So you have to be very careful.
Absolutely.
And so you have to have like a 2 or 3, if you sense you're dealing with a narcissist, you have to have an extra person. If you're in marriage, get the counselor. Document everything.
That's right. And you almost pretty much have to document your conversation.
You do.
Because they will deny anything that you said. They were like, I didn't say that. And it will make you question yourself. And you're like, wow. And they're really, really good at that.
So the echo who's questioned themselves, I was on a website where there was like 300,000 people in there. They were angry. They were bitter. They were confused. They were sad. They were lonely. They thought their life was over. Many of them said they never wanted to be in a relationship again because this is now what they think everybody is like. And I was so sad when I saw that. And so when I get these people, first of all, they're happy to understand that somebody understands what they're talking about because most people don't believe them.
Yeah.
Second of all, they're very depressed. They feel a lack of vision. So I tell them, go back and do again what God called you to do.
Yes.
Remember your first love. Revelations, the 2nd chapter says, he says, you have forsaken your first love. Go back, return and do what you did at first.
That's right.
Go back and fall in love with me. Remember who did I say that you are? Remember that I love you. I'm not a respecter of persons. I've given you gifts. I've given you talents. I've given you abilities. Go back to me. And so when you get back to who God called you to be, you have to build yourself up. You need that time, that detox. And from there, I began to tell them, they have vision again.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about that rebuilding, that detoxing, but rebuilding of the echo, the process of that God restores you, and then they can use this as their purpose and use it, use it not to attract the same type of person.
Or the
echo,
person.
the person that needs healing.
The person who was with the narcissist?
That was with the narcissist.
Yes.
They've come out. They need healing from it. They're getting their deliverance from the situation, the reality, because you have to actually, it's almost like a mirage when you're around them.
Yeah.
They bring a spirit of confusion. They bring a spirit of you're dominated, you're controlled, you've been tricked into things. You are coming out, and it takes you a moment for the illusion to begin to remove itself.
Yeah.
And so these people have to rebuild. I mean,
they
in
definitely
the mind,
have to rebuild. And exactly when you're talking about detoxing, it's just so important. And the things that we have to detox, because some people don't understand what a detox is, right? And I mean, totally, completely, getting rid of everything about that particular person.
Talk about that a little bit, because a lot of people don't like that. This is my shirt. This is their picture. This is my favorite socks that they gave me. I mean, people hold on to the craziest things and don't realize that there's an emotional tie to that.
Yeah, it is.
Or
it's
DNA on it.
Well, it really is. I mean, you really have to detox yourself from everything, right? Because your body is immune to this person, right? And that's why sometimes, too, when we go out and we say, why do I keep attracting the same person over and over again? And it's because you haven't detoxed from that person, because it's something that's in our body that's called the major histocompatibility complex. It's what we sense somebody's DNA, somebody's immune system. So it can sense somebody's similar DNA, similar immune system. And that's the person that you go after, and you realize when you're in a relationship and you're like, wow. And sometimes you would hear people say this, especially the women, girl, it seems like I've been knowing him forever. Right. And you have. It's just a different person. It's the same person in a different body.
It's the familiar spirit. Remember that. Familiar. What's the root word? It's family. It's in the family. It's in there. It's in your emotional ties are in there.
Yeah, absolutely. So you have to understand, you have to totally detox yourself. Get rid of the pictures, get rid of the clothes, get rid of anything that person bought you, get rid of the text, get rid of the voicemails that's still on your voicemail phone and all of that. It's so important because the body is still immune to that person. Right. And so you have to really detox. And when we're saying detox, get that out of your system. Detox it out of your system, get it out. And it's so important to rebuild, you know, and what you're doing is so important. Your work is so important for everybody to understand and how to detox and to get that out of the system. Yeah.
Thank you. It's really just been a passion because I really don't like seeing people broken and hurt and destroyed and feeling misunderstood, and knowing that God has purpose and destiny and future for them, and that this is literally something that is growing. Especially with the me, my, I, selfies. Everything is about self now. Do what I want, you know. And it's destroying even the basic nature of love and kindness. He said in the last days, men shall be lovers of themselves. You know, they're angry towards, like, you have more kids killing their parents and hurting people. And so I tell them, I say, look, hold on. Their kids have a healthy narcissistic phase about 4 or 5. They're like me. I wanted to put on my jacket. I got this, you know, and that's healthy. Then you hit about 16 years old and you're like, mom can't tell me anything. And you're trying to ask the kid, can they do the dishes 15 times? And they don't want to do anything. It's all about me, like you're bothering me. But that's when they don't grow out of it. So usually you come out of that about 22, you're like, what was I thinking? My dad is incredible. My mom is awesome. They know everything.
Yeah, that's the adolescence.
The narcissism. The healthy stuff.
The healthy narcissism
trying
in
to
there,
figure out, you know, who you are.
Right. And that's why it's important too to also be more aware, be more mindful of your kids, you know, especially between the ages of 1 and 10, to just make sure that they're not being that type of bully type of person. Right? You know, that type of person that's want to be not only just a bully, but stealing and trying to connive and everything. At that early age, it's like, hey, wait a minute, where are you getting that from? You know, at that early age. And two, we also have to say, too, to our parents as well, because sometimes when you are a narcissistic parent,
I had one.
Right? The child looks at the parent, and you have to really be, you know, careful. Because that's what we do. We pick up from, right?
And, you know, I was studying with this one doctor, and she said begin to read or expose children to have empathetic moments. Like, you want to, you have to bring them.
I'm sorry.
No, great. Introduce empathy to them.
You have to introduce empathy to them. You have to teach them. You have to teach that to them. You know, it's so important. And when you do, you realize, you can see as they get older how they can empathize for people, right? Because if that's not there, oh my God, you know.
I mean, the kids have to have it because you can see it in children that have no emotions. You're like, what happened to this child? It was coming and forming. So when one of my kids was little and he seemed disconnected, I started reading books to him about empathy, and we started showing him faces on sadness and that you could hurt someone. And I said, do you want anybody to hurt you? No, look, you hurt me. And I would cry to get him to try to see would he wipe my tear or help me, or mommy, I'm sorry. And you have to teach these things. Then when they get older, it's about exposing them to something else. Take them to another country. Help them to go somewhere where they don't have everything, because we give our kids everything. They've got $500 gadgets, $1,000 gadgets. We are giving our kids so much, and they don't understand lack. And so when you take them to a place, you start having them do labor. You start having them see where, you know, people have to go and find their food every day. And you start showing them what real life, a real world can be about. Absolutely. They have to have appreciation. And so, and another thing is that as they get older, when they're supposed to grow out of it, and by 22, 23, of course, because the brain isn't totally developed until you're, 25?
Absolutely.
So the frontal lobe is the frontal cortex. It's not totally developed yet. I'm learning. I'm growing. Okay, thank you. So
I'm a professor at Optimine Institute, and she's one of the students, so she's good now.
I'm getting there. I would say good, but I'm getting there. And so these classes are teaching me, and as the brain is developing, when it gets fully developed, then after that 25 stage, they're still into me, my, I, I'll destroy you to get what I want, I'll take. That's when you have a problem. And it can continue to grow. Then they get old and they have nobody, and it's kind of sad. But for you, we're saying protect yourself. We're saying if you've been involved with the narcissist, it can be, like I said, it can be pastors who have taken and put you down and made you feel like you were horrible. It can be leaders. It can be a boss. It can be a spouse. You really want to bring it back around.
And a friend.
You have
and
30
I think it's
seconds.
so important.
I want you to say something to them in 30 seconds. Give your word.
And it's so important that to understand a friend too, you know, think about your friends that's always putting you down, always talking about you, never agreeing into your ideas, your hypotheses, right? That's always just everything that you do, they're putting you down. They're never saying, oh yeah, I agree with you, or you bought something new and they say, oh, I got something like that, or I got some shoes better than that, you know, and it's really important, yeah.
They compare it. My
They
goodness,
always
I can't believe we're
compare.
out of time. Now, you know we're going to have to do like
Yeah, we gotta
a
come
full
back. Yes.
hour segment on this
Yes,
because
yes.
this is such a great topic.
Yeah,
We have
it
so
is.
much to discuss
Yeah.
and talk about, and you have so many
Absolutely.
things. Where can people find you? Can you tell them really quick? I've got 10 seconds.
Yeah, you can go to drraelsims.com. You can find me on Facebook, The Relationship Scientist, and you can just Google me. And yeah,
That's right.
yeah.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for tuning in. We are praying for you. We hope this has been educational and that is beneficial for your future growth. Thank you very much. You're watching Supernatural Lifeline Revelations with TNT, Taryn N Tarver. Have a great one.